Hello and welcome. This is Dallas Woodburn, your book doula and founder of the Your Book Breakthrough program. And you are here for a free masterclass where I will share my simple, no nonsense formula to write your book in just 90 days, even if you've been procrastinating for 15 years. Who this masterclass is for. It is for entrepreneurs who have an untold story burning inside of them, who are frustrated and low on confidence because they aren't able to make progress on this important goal that they've committed to and recommitted to again and again. This is for people who are yearning to share their knowledge and their wisdom and their expertise with a wider audience, to expand their mission and change lives with the words that they put on paper. And this masterclass is for entrepreneurs who are serious about writing and publishing a book to unlock their expert status and dramatically grow their platform and, of course, grow their business. So in the next 45 minutes, you are going to learn how to put writer's block in your rearview mirror for good, how to consistently fill up your creative well so you never run out of ideas and you actually wake up excited each day to write. I promise you it is possible. You're going to learn how to weed through your million ideas and clarify your most important and authentic heart message. You'll learn how to stop procrastinating and stop making excuses and finally write your book. And you're going to learn how to unlock expert status by becoming an author and how to dramatically grow your business with paid speaking gigs, a wider audience, and a new revenue funnel. So here is my promise to you. I promise to show you my step-by-step strategy to vanquish writer's block, establish a consistent creative routine, and actually write and finish the book that is burning inside of you, so that you can move forward and share your beautifully unique message with the world. That is what it is all about, my friends. But before we go any further, I want to make sure you know that there is no magic pill. There's no magic wand that we can wave and make your book appear in front of you. Everything that I share with you has to actually be implemented in order to see results. And a harsh truth is that if writing a book were easy, everyone would be an author, right? Nobody finishes their book without actually putting in the work. So you have to earn your success, like anything with writing, by investing real time in your goal. And you have to be brave enough to pour your heart and your soul into your message. So I want you right now to be honest with yourself. Are you ready? Because I can only help people who are ready to birth their book. And I also want to clarify that there is nothing for sale. This is a completely free, no strings attached webinar. The reason I am doing this masterclass is that I feel called to share these steps that I have developed over my 10 plus years as a writing coach, because I have seen what a huge and extraordinary impact they can have. And I'm here for you today because I don't want you to struggle with writing your book. I want to help you. So does this sound like you? You have a story beating in your heart, but it is stuck in the pit of your stomach and you can't get it out? You start and start again on your book, but you just keep getting stuck? Your mind is a mess of all these ideas that you can't organize them and put them into words. You feel lost about how to publish a book, how to promote a book, or how to use a book as a steady stream of income. Do you feel defeated and frustrated because you know in your gut that you have an important message to share with the world, but no matter how hard you try, you simply cannot channel this message into words? Do you feel worried that you'll put in all of this time into writing a book and you'll never actually finish it and you'll waste all of that time? Do you feel overwhelmed with how to even begin organizing your material, much less starting to write? What should you include? How do you make your book compelling? And how should you tell your story? The truth is, all of those things are not the real problem. The real problem is that you just haven't discovered and implemented these 5 steps that I'm going to teach you today. The truth is that when you master these 5 steps, I promise you that everything will change. Once you master these steps, you will think of writer's block as just this annoying mind trick in the past. You will overflow with this creative energy, and you'll have ideas not only for your book, but also for blog posts and articles and podcast scripts and emails to clients and your Facebook posts and much more. When you master these steps, writing your book will be a painless and straightforward process. And your magical masterpiece of a book will be your calling card to speaking on stages, gaining new clients, having thousands, if not millions of lives inspired by the words you have captured on paper. Here's the one thing you need to know. There are 5 simple steps that you need to master in order to turn writing from a chore that you keep putting off into a painless task that you can confidently dive into anytime, which makes it easy to finally finish your book. So today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to master these 5 steps so that you can finally stop procrastinating and begin sharing your message. So before I get into the 5 steps, I just want to give you a little background on who I am. So my name is Dallas Woodburn. I'm the author of 3 award-winning books, and I've published books both traditionally and also indie or self-published books. And I'm also the editor of 2 national anthologies. I've been a freelance writer for more than 10 years, and I've written for dozens of magazines and newspapers and websites, along with more than 30 books in the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. I studied writing both for my bachelor's degree in creative writing and entrepreneurship from the University of Southern California, and I also studied writing as my master's degree from Purdue University in fiction writing. After I graduated with my master's degree, I headed to San Jose State University, where I was a John Steinbeck Fellow in creative writing. And I love speaking at conferences, festivals, book fairs, community groups, and being a guest on podcasts and television shows. But it was not always that way. So when I was in graduate school at Purdue University, I had the wonderful opportunity to teach writing courses for undergraduate students. And I discovered that I love teaching as well as writing. So after I graduated, I built my own business as a writing teacher and a writing coach. I began leading workshops and seminars and classes, and I also had a lot of one-on-one sessions with students. Business was booming. And I kept taking on more and more clients because I was so passionate about helping people get better at writing and get more confident at writing. I loved celebrating their successes. But the problem was I kept putting my own writing projects and my own writing dreams on the back burner. I would set goals for myself again and again to work on my book, but I kept procrastinating and I kept putting it off. And I began to feel like a fraud because here I was encouraging all of my students to write every day and go after their dreams and not procrastinate on their important writing projects, but I was doing exactly that myself. It was a vicious cycle of empty promises, disappointing myself, not making any progress, and not feeling any momentum in my own writing. And I began to feel very depleted and burned out and unmotivated. And then it shifted when I discovered the 5 steps. And the reason that I did was I had a turning point. And this was when one of my writing mentors passed away from cancer. This is a wonderful writer, a wonderful person who I met when I was in high school at the Santa Barbara Writers Conference. And she was just a light of inspiration in my life ever since then. And before her death, She told me that she wished she had more time to write out the stories that were still in her heart. She still had all of these ideas that she wanted to get down on paper, and she was running out of time. And it made me realize that no one else was going to carve out time for me to work on my important writing projects. It made me realize that I had to carve out that time for myself. Nobody else was going to give that time to me. And I did not want to look back one day and regret all of the stories that I still had inside of me that were not going to come out because I did not make time for them. So what I did was I committed to writing every single weekday for at least 45 minutes first thing in the morning. So I would sit at my computer, open up my Word document, and I would start writing before I even checked my emails, before I looked at my phone, before I got into any of the obligations and demands that the outside world had for me. And it was amazing. I began feeling recharged again in my writing. I was getting ideas all of the time. I felt super energized and excited and motivated, and I felt like I was actually living my dream and tapping into my passions and my message and my gifts. And within 4 months, I completed a draft of my 300-page novel. And then within 6 months, I received a publishing contract for my short story collection. So today, I'm really excited to share these 5 steps with you and to hopefully change your life the way that they changed mine. So here's step number 1. We have to start by unlocking the blocks in your writing mindset. So here is a truth that I want to share with you, that even if you tell me that you've been wanting to write this book for years and it's such an important goal to you, the truth is that if every part of you was in alignment with writing your book, you would already have written it. So because you haven't written your book and you're feeling this resistance and you're feeling this procrastination, it means that you have these blocks, that there are some parts of you that are not in alignment yet with writing this book. So we have to get past those blocks. We have to work our way through them so we can get back into alignment, and it will make the writing flow so much easier. So writer's block is actually just a mental trick. It's not a reality. It's not a physical ailment like a broken bone. It's not something that is actually wrong with you. It is just your brain tricking you, trying to procrastinate because you have fears and doubts. So the first step to getting unstuck is we have to clear out these fears and doubts. We have to clear out those cobwebs that are lurking in your subconscious. And we have to set a solid foundation for you to stand upon when you are writing your book. Do these sound familiar? These are some of the most common blocks that I hear from my clients. I don't know how I should begin. I have so much to say that whenever I try to write, I get distracted and my work feels totally unfocused. I'm a perfectionist, and whenever I try to write, nothing that comes out is good enough, so I just give up. Whenever I embark on a writing project, I always run out of energy before I finish. I call this the muddy middle. I've just never really been the creative type. How many of those sound familiar to you? Do you struggle with any of these blocks yourself? Here's more harsh truth. So these blocks are not just affecting your book. They're not just keeping you from writing your book. The chances are that these blocks are also manifesting in your business. So think about all of the ways that you use your writing and your voice in your business. These blocks are preventing you from truly owning your voice in your videos, your webinars, your Facebook Lives, your blog posts, your speaking events, and the list goes on and on. So what we need to do is, if we can unlock these blocks, if we can work through them and get into alignment to write your book, you're also going to get into better alignment for your business, and your writing is going to become so much easier in all aspects of your business and your life, not just in writing your book. I also want to remind you of the law of attraction. So, the law of attraction is that we attract to us what we want to attract. So, if you keep focusing on how you can't write your book, you don't know what to write about, you aren't a natural writer, etc., 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 then guess what? You will keep attracting these negative feelings and this negative energy. You will keep attracting more blocks. So we want to do the opposite. What I want you to do is instead, even if you don't feel it, I want you to fake it until you make it. I want you to tell yourself that you are indeed a writer. Tell yourself that you can write your book. And guess what? You're going to attract that confidence. Something else you can do if you're feeling negative is I want you to focus on gratitude. Focus on the people who you are serving and feel grateful that you have the opportunity to share your message with them and you have the opportunity to give them exactly what they need to hear in your book. So here's a success story. This is my client, Divya. And when she came to me, she was feeling intimidated. So she says, English is my second language, and I do not have any formal education in writing. But Dallas recognized my passion, encouraged me to write, showed me my strengths, and pointed out the discipline that I needed to learn and to be successful. So Divya was amazing. Within the structure of this program, she was able to work through these blocks that she had and these self-esteem and confidence issues that she had, and she established a consistent writing routine and made major progress on all sorts of her writing goals. And she said a really lovely testimonial. She said, Dallas helped me lay the foundation to build my dreams upon. And that is really the truth about this step number 1 of unlocking those blocks, is that it helps you lay this very solid foundation that you can build not just your dream of writing a book upon, but actually your dream of growing your business in all sorts of ways. And we'll get to that a little bit later. Just going to take a drink really fast. So now we're on to step number 2. So once we've unlocked these blocks, the next step is to get to the heart of your why. So we're thinking about why you are writing your book. Because successfully completing a book requires defeating your biggest enemy. And let me tell you, your biggest enemy is not procrastination. Your biggest enemy is not those swirling ideas in your head. Your biggest enemy is not distraction. It is not other things taking up your time and attention. Your biggest enemy is actually yourself. So you need to learn how to get out of your own way. And to do that, you must understand your deeper motivation for writing this book. So I think it is wonderful to have all sorts of different motivating factors for writing a book. And some of those motivating factors might be a little bit more on the surface level, which is perfectly fine. So I have some clients who come to me and say, I want to write a book because I want to be an author and I want to make lots of money from a passive revenue stream. Or I want to write a book because I want to be able to be a guest on podcasts and speaking gigs. And if I'm an author, I will have much higher chance of booking those gigs. Those are excellent motivations, and I hope that you hold on to those. But the truth is we need to also get at your deeper motivations for writing this book, because at some point along the way, the going is going to get tough. You're going to feel challenged, especially in the middle, the muddy middle, and you're going to need some deep down motivation to really get you through those tough parts. So you also need to hush your inner critic by reminding yourself of your greater mission and your greater motivation. So how do we do this? One way to do this is to think about something called framing. So I heard this term first from a writer, Jessica Abel, and she wrote a book called Out on the Wire. And in this book, she says, framing is about connecting very specific ideas and events in a story or in your life to something larger. So it's important to connect your book and your story to the universal human experience. So you might actually imagine a frame around a picture. So if the picture itself is your unique story, the frame is the larger universal experience around it. The frame is the context. The frame is the universality that we can connect to, even if we haven't had your exact experience ourselves. So this is important for the reader because as readers, we want to relate to you by seeing ourselves and our lives in your life and your story. So when you are able to use framing and connect to the universal human experience, your book and your message will be much more powerful. And it is also important to do this for yourself because this helps you tap into that deeper motivation, that greater mission that you are using to write your book and what you want to show people, no matter who they are who are picking up your book and coming to your story. So how do we get to that deeper motivation? Here are some big questions that you can ask yourself. The first one is, so what? Why should I care? And you can imagine maybe an annoying little voice asking you this, but it's a way to get into the deeper levels of reasons for you telling your story. So maybe you say that you are writing your book for women to help them get in shape. And so imagine a little voice say to you, well, so what? Why should I care? So why should these women want to get in shape? How will that change their lives? Go deeper and just keep asking yourself, so what? Why should I care? And try to see how deep you can go for why your book matters and how it can change people's lives. I also want you to think about who are your ideal readers and what do you want for them? How will their lives change after they read your book? And what must they learn from you? So if you can answer these questions, you'll really be taking a big step forward into getting at that why of writing your book. So now we're going to move on to step number 3, which is to begin your journey with a roadmap. So here's a quote I love from Earl Nightingale. He's an author and radio host. And he said, all you need is the plan, the roadmap, and the courage to press on to your destination. So if you have the plan and you have the roadmap, then all you need is just that courage to continue, and you will get to your destination, which is the final page of your book. So like anything with writing, organization is really the key to success. So the trick is that when you have your book all planned out, the writing becomes really simple because you already know what you're going to write about in each chapter. So it just becomes sitting down and actually doing the work. It's just about, like Earl Nightingale says, having the courage to tap into that bravery and that authenticity inside of you. You have the roadmap. All you need to do is follow it. Another analogy I like to use is the analogy of the glass jar. And some of you might have heard this before in other contexts, but related to writing, I want you to imagine that your book is a glass jar that you are going to fill up. So the most important parts, the most important messages and wisdoms that you want to share with your reader, those are big stones. But then you're also going to fill the jar with sand and pebbles, and those are the less important parts. Those are the parts that maybe give examples or show or illuminate your most important points. So here's the trick. If you fill your jar with sand and pebbles first, then there won't be enough room to fit the big stones inside. But instead, if you put in the big stones first, and then you fill the jar with the pebbles, and then you put in the sand, the pebbles and the sand are going to fit in around the big stones. So you'll be able to actually fill that jar to its fullest. So this analogy relates to having a plan or a roadmap or an outline. Because if we just begin writing willy-nilly without a plan, we might not be able to differentiate between those big stones and that sand and those pebbles. And so when it comes to the end of your book, Maybe you weren't able to fit in all of those big stones that were really important to you. Or maybe those big stones weren't highlighted, and so the reader is a little bit confused about what they are and what your main message and your main takeaway is. Maybe your book feels kind of disjointed. We have big stones, we have sand, we have pebbles, they're scattered all around, and it feels like the jar isn't filled in the best way possible. It feels like your book isn't organized in a way that makes it the most effective. So that is why we want to use an outline. So we want to use an outline because of focus. So all of your most important ideas are written down in one place. You can refer back to it again and again. I also have clients who like to use their outline as a checklist of sorts. So you can actually see the progress that you're making as you make your way through the outline and check off each one of your points. We also outline for structure. So you want to plan out the big buckets that you can organize your ideas and your examples and your stories into. So once you have those big buckets or those big stones, then it becomes a lot easier to organize the rest of your ideas into those big buckets. Another reason it's important to outline is for flow. So like I alluded to on the last slide, if we don't outline, our writing could feel kind of scattered or a little bit choppy. So we want to outline so that everything flows naturally from one point to the next. Also, thoroughness. So when we outline, it ensures that we include all of the details and all of the information that is most important to our book and to our story. And also, it's efficient. So it saves you time, it saves you energy. So each day when you sit down to write, you know exactly what you're working on. You know exactly what you want to focus on that day. And here's a success story for you from my own life. So I constantly use outlines in my own writing. When I do blog posts, when I do articles and podcast scripts, I always start with an outline. And I also use an outline in my latest book, Woman Running Late in a Dress. You can see the photo of it there on the right. And it's actually a collection of short stories. It is not nonfiction, it is fiction. And this is a collection of stories that are linked together. So by that, I mean that there will be a main character in one story who pops up again as a minor character in a different story, and maybe even pops up again a few stories later. So the characters are all intertwined, their lives are interwoven, and as you might imagine, it felt like a jumbled mess to me at the beginning when I was trying to figure out how to organize this book. So what I did was I wrote this detailed outline, and it was invaluable to me in keeping all of my storylines straight and remembering my characters and their relationship with each other. And my book ended up winning a big award, and it was published this past March by Yellow Flag Press. And I've received wonderful feedback and reviews from readers all across the country. So step number 4 is to utilize the power hour principle. So this is a quote from Annie Dillard. She's an author and speaker and one of my favorite writers. And she says, how we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. So I want you to think about, how do you spend your days? How often do you actually work on your book? Be honest. Here are some time myths that I hear from my clients. I don't have enough time to write a book. I have so much going on right now, I can't find time to focus on another project. I need to have an uninterrupted 3 or 4 hours to make any substantial progress. So if I don't have that time, I might as well not even start. I always procrastinate, and it takes me forever to get anything written. Do any of those sound familiar to you? Do you relate to any of those time myths? So my solution to all of those time myths is something called Power Hour. So Power Hour is 1 hour free from distractions where you focus on nothing except for writing your book. So you eliminate interruptions and you train your brain by writing the same time every day. So I mentioned way earlier that when I had my shift and I discovered the 5 steps and I began writing consistently, that I wrote every morning, first thing when I woke up. And what that did is it really trained my brain that when I woke up, that was writing time. Our brains love habit, and it's amazing how quickly we can create bad habits. Like if a few days in a row, maybe you have some candy after lunch, the fourth day, your brain is going to be like, oh, after lunch, it's candy time. But we can also use that to create good habits. And so if you train your brain by writing at the same time every day, you'll find that getting into the writing becomes a lot easier because your brain has a signal to itself that, okay, now it's time to write. We're just going to write now. We're going to get creative. We're going to get into the groove. So remember that we make time for what is truly important to us. So I want you to ask yourself, how much does writing your book actually matter to you? Because if it matters to you, I'm willing to bet that you can find 1 hour, at least 1 hour in your day that you can devote to writing your book. So you need to commit. You need to commit to your book. I'm not saying that you need to clear your calendar. And the truth is, actually, if you think that you need to clear your calendar, that can be entirely counterproductive because I think that it is hard for us to be truly focused and to be making substantial progress on our books for too long of a sustained time. You would be amazed what you can accomplish in just 45 minutes to an hour of focused work. I dare say you could accomplish more in 45 minutes to an hour of focused work than you can accomplish in 3 or 4 hours of half-hearted, distracted, interrupted working on your book. So I want you to be efficient. And something to think about is that think about the commercials of your favorite television shows. And I had a client do this once. It's sort of a little bit of an experiment. And she wrote just during the commercials of her favorite television show for a couple weeks. And it was amazing how much time that was and how much writing she was able to get done. So if you're someone who can focus really easily and snap to attention, you might just keep your laptop or your tablet or a notebook by your couch, by your TV, and when the commercial comes on, mute the TV and get into your writing and see how much you get done. So even if you just write 500 words a day, which really is not that much. Another challenge you can do is you can keep track of how many words you write in all of the emails and text messages and Facebook posts that you send each day. I'm willing to bet it is much more than 500. So even writing just 500 words a day on your book will equal your book in 90 days. That is so doable, my friends. It is within your reach. Here's a success story related to that. So this is my client, James Patterson. And through working together, he is the author of 2 books in the health and career niches. So James Patterson works full-time. He comes from a business background, and he didn't really think of himself as a writer when we started working together. But my program helped him establish a consistent writing routine, and now he actually looks forward to it every single day. And he now has 2 other book manuscripts in the works that he is planning to publish sometime soon. So I'm really proud of him, and he is just one example of what you can do when you actually commit to writing every single day on your book, and when you begin to think of yourself as a writer and get rid of those negative voices. Here's our last step, step number 5, and this is to invest in a mentor. So here's a picture of me with my mentor, Amy. I was fortunate enough to have her as a teacher when I was in college in creative writing, and she has since been an invaluable source of encouragement and support and wisdom in my life and my writing. So please don't be a lone ranger. You don't know what you don't know. So you need someone to provide you perspective and to be able to show you your blind spots. So that's why they're called blind spots, right? It's because we're blind to them. We can't see them. So you need a mentor to be able to point them out to you and to help you get past those things that are getting in your way. And this is true for every single writer. Every writer I know, they need support and they need accountability to get to the finish line of their book. Because let's be honest, writing a book is a pretty big endeavor. It's like running a marathon. So you need those people on the sidelines cheering you on. You need that mentor to help you along the way so you can get to that finish line. So I want you to think about your book as a launch pad. And a mentor can give you the powerful combination of, like I said, support and accountability, but also resources and knowledge to actually get your writing done. So they help you get to this launch pad and make the most of it. So investing in a mentor is a real investment because a mentor can teach you how to use your published book as a launching pad for speaking gigs, for radio and podcast interviews, for getting new clients, and not to mention they can show you how to grow your income as a passive revenue stream. So when you're feeling stuck, I don't want you to struggle alone. You need a mentor who they can help you get past those problems and those roadblocks that seem huge to you, but because they've been through it and they've helped other people through it, to them, those are just pebbles in the way that they can kick aside and kick out of your path so you can continue on. So that is why a mentor is so important. I've heard the hashtag coaches need coaches. And I think it's just so true that everyone I know who is successful did not do it on their own. They have a mentor who has helped them, who has helped pave the way for them to get farther, faster than they ever could alone. And here's a success story. This is my client, Lauren, and she is the author of not one, but 2 books. And when I met Lauren, she told me that she really wanted to be a motivational speaker. She had this dream of sharing her message with audiences on stages all across the country. And I am so amazingly proud of her because that is exactly what she is doing now. She's an in-demand motivational speaker, and she has done more than 150 keynotes in more than 30 states. And Lauren says, I find that having a book is often the impetus for someone to hire me as a speaker. So it is also a wonderful feeling to know that your book is something they will keep for years to come. So Lauren has told me a lot about how having her published books has really positioned her as an expert and has made her so much more in demand as a motivational speaker, and has also gotten her higher pay for her speeches that she does. And I also love the point she makes that when you have a book, you don't just finish your speech and wave goodbye to the audience and go along your merry way. You actually are able to leave your message and your teachings and your words with every single audience member. They take your book home with them. They have it on their nightstand. They have it on their bookshelf, they have it on their desk, they read it, they highlight it, they dog-ear the pages. They're able to really take your message and your teachings with them, and you're able to make an even greater impact on their lives than you simply would if you were just giving a speech. And so that's why I say that your book is the best business card you could ever imagine. You do not need a business card when you have a book that you can give to people and that they can keep forever. So here's what I promised today. Let's see if we went through all of these. I promised that you would learn how to put writer's block in your rearview mirror for good, consistently fill up your creative well so you never run out of content and you actually wake up excited every day to write, how to weed through your million ideas and clarify your deepest and most authentic message of your heart, how to stop procrastinating and stop making excuses and finally write your book, and how to unlock expert status by becoming an author and dramatically growing your business with paid speaking gigs, a wider audience, and a new revenue funnel. We learned all of that today. The trick is in the 5 steps. So here is your 90-day author plan. Here's what can happen more quickly than you ever believed possible, because I know that you've been struggling to write your book for so long. But here is all you need to do. You need to unlock the blocks in your writing mindset and build that solid foundation. You need to get to the heart of your why and get to your deeper motivation for writing your book so that it can carry you through those inevitable tough times. You need to begin your journey with a roadmap so that you are clear on where you're going and so you can be most efficient with your time and so you can get the most important messages across in your book. You need to utilize the power hour principle. So remember, you don't need to clear entire chunks of your calendar to write your book. Even just 45 minutes to an hour every day will really add up and will give you that momentum to get to the finish line of your book. And probably most important of all, you need to invest in a mentor. So you need to get the support that you need to finally finish your book and then publish your book and then launch your business to new heights. So now, my friends, you have a choice. So here we see two paths. And the path there on the left, that's the path that you've been on all of these years. That is your path of frustration and procrastination and discouragement, where you try to write your book, you have this message burning inside of you, you have all of these ideas, and you try again, but you just keep getting stuck and you keep giving up and you keep procrastinating. And this is the path that you can continue on if you want to just go along this way, if you want to not write your book and continue talking about how much you want to write your book, but actually not take action to getting it written, getting it completed, and actually holding it in your hands as a published author. But that is not your only choice. You have another path you can take here on the right. You can turn off that path you've been on, and you can walk towards the end goal of having that completed book in your hands. So instead of feeling discouraged, you can feel empowered, you can feel rejuvenated, you can feel full of ideas, and say goodbye to writer's block. Think of it as a thing of the past. You can unlock your expert status as a published author and get speaking gigs and podcast interviews and interviews on television. And you can gain all sorts of new clients with your book and make even a greater effect than you ever dreamed possible with sharing your message so far and so wide. And you can take this path and be so proud of yourself and so confident about the impact that you can have. And you can know that even though writing a book is hard and writing a book is something that many people want to do but never actually do, you can feel proud of yourself knowing that you committed to your goal and you got to that finish line. And you can hold your book in your hands with your name on the cover, and that is part of your legacy that will live on even beyond you. So which is it going to be? If you want to take that path to the right, if you want to finally write your book, I would be so delighted to help you. So I want to hear about this book that is burning inside of you. I would love to talk with you in a book breakthrough discovery session. And during this session, we will unlock what is blocking you from actually getting words onto the page. And we will work together to illuminate what is the deeper message that is underneath your words. So I want you to imagine what it would be like to have clarity on what your message is and how your book will impact others' lives. But this opportunity is not for everyone. So I am opening a limited number of book breakthrough discovery sessions for attendees of this webinar. And this is who I am opening these sessions to. This is for someone who is truly ready to birth their book and who is ready to receive support to move forward. This is for someone who is willing to do the work and who understands there are no miracle pills and no magic wands that we can wave and snap our fingers and magically have a book in our hands. This is for someone who is eager to put in the time and put in the effort and finally finish their book. And this is for someone who has an authentic message that they are passionate about sharing with the world. So are you ready? Are you ready to finally get your book out of your heart and out of your head and onto the page? Are you ready to rejuvenate your creativity so you wake up each morning feeling inspired and bursting with ideas? Are you ready to confidently own your beautifully unique voice and send your message out into the world? Are you ready to leverage your expertise in a meaningful way that will change lives and build your legacy? Are you ready to hold your book, the book you've always dreamed of writing, in your hands with your name on the cover. If you're ready, I am ready too. And when we work together in 90 days, this book that has been burning inside of you for years can actually become a reality that you hold in your hands. All you need to do is commit. You need to commit to your book, commit to the program, and commit to your future readers and clients who desperately need to read your message. You need to commit to yourself, because at the end of the day, the end of all of this is a commitment and an investment in yourself and your message and your legacy. So here's a special invitation for you. Like I said, I opened up a limited number of book breakthrough discovery sessions for attendees of this webinar. So all you need to do is go to the website, yourbookbreakthrough.com. You can open your browser and just go to this URL, yourbookbreakthrough.com, and you can sign up. You can nab one of those sessions. But I want to tell you, spaces are very limited. So don't delay. If this is something that is calling to you, if this message is speaking to your heart, if you are ready to finally birth your book, please sign up now. I can't wait to connect with you and to talk with you. And I just am so honored and delighted to be your book doula, helping birth your book into this world. Thank you so much for your time today, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.